Salve pessoal, boa tarde. Desculpa a demora, estamos atrasados um pouquinho, tivemos um problema técnico aqui, mas agora estamos online novamente. E hoje nós vamos conversar nada menos com a Robin Weiner, que veio dos Estados Unidos para falar com a gente. Olha, ela veio para o Brasil fazer a visita essa semana, para que vocês não esqueçam. Teremos a Eco Expo, 21 a 23, né? Das 13 às 20 horas, lá no Center Norte. Então, para você que ainda não fez sua inscrição, vai lá, faça sua inscrição, vamos estar lá com bastantes eventos. O INESFA vai estar com o seu stand lá e teremos alguns podcast shorts lá, que a gente chama de curtos, né? Então vai ser bem interessante. E mais uma vez, obrigado aí vocês por terem participado aí do nosso evento. Esse podcast é para vocês, oferecimento do INESFA, um agradecimento ao nosso patrocinador HB Garras, né? Você que é líder em garra, HB Garras, procure se você precisa sua garra, trocar sua garra, uma nova. Liga lá pro Rogério, o Rogério vai ajudar vocês, beleza? E nós vamos estar também com o Clineu. Clineu, o presidente do INESFA, vai estar online com a gente. Ele não conseguiu vir para São Paulo, mas amanhã estaremos todos presentes lá na Eco Expo do nosso amigo Jesus. Ok? Bom, vamos começar aqui, Robin. Primeiro um detalhe. A transmissão vai ser em inglês, então você pode ir lá embaixo no YouTube, que ele tem a tradução simultânea. Você põe a legenda lá. Eu acredito que a gente consiga fazer isso aqui. Não consegue, pessoal? Fazer a legenda? Será que a gente consegue colocar? Mas é cada um automático ou nós podemos colocar aí? Na transmissão automática? Então tá bom. Ó, vai lá no CC, coloca lá, clica, pede para tradução. Para quem quiser a tradução, porque a transmissão vai ser em inglês, ok? Bom, Robin, welcome to Brazil, and it was a pleasure to see you here.
I am so excited to be here. So thank you. I was so excited to get the invitation. As you know, I've been trying for years to get here, and I'm so glad to finally be here.
Okay, thank you very much. I know we're trying for a long
Yes,
time. We have
yes.
Brian, I think 2 years ago or last year. It was last year
Yes,
or 2
and
years
Adam
ago.
also.
Yeah, Brian and Adam.
Yes.
Now, finally, you here. Thank you. Welcome. I hope you enjoy Brazil, enjoy the convention,
Absolutely.
and everything is going to be all right. Clineu, tudo bem, Clineu? Boa tarde.
Hello, salve.
Pode falar que a gente está te ouvindo.
Tá me ouvindo? Olá,
Sim.
boa tarde. Vamos lá. Hello, Robin, how are you?
Fala um pouquinho mais alto, Clineu. Pode falar um pouquinho mais alto.
Hello, Robin, how are you?
Wonderful. It's wonderful to see you.
Good to see you. It's a pleasure to welcome you.
Se você quiser falar em português agora, dá uma mensagem aí, pessoal, Clineu, fica à vontade.
Tá bem. Deixa eu só agradecer ali. Robin, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. It's an honor to have you with us today.
It's an honor to be here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bom, vamos lá. Pessoal, vamos bater um papo um pouquinho sobre o REMA, sobre o mercado, o que eles estão vendo, como que vai ser os próximos anos, o que vem acontecendo, para você ficar atualizado de todas as situações que tem no mundo. Então, vou começar em inglês e vamos para frente. O pessoal aqui está aberto também, se vocês quiserem fazer perguntas, fica à disposição, tá bom? Robbie, let's start here about REMA. Tell us about the association or institute. Used to be Institute Clean, and now you're Recycling Metals Association. And you have how many years you already launched this association?
Well, I've been with REMA since 1989. So when I was 5, I started.
Okay, cool. And how old is REMA?
REMA actually dates back to 1987. We're the relative merger of 2 other associations. We were, of course, known as ISRI until April of 2024 when we renamed and became REMA.
Okay, cool. And how many associations you have?
We have over 1,700 member companies.
1,700?
And about 80% of them are based in North America, but the other
Okay.
20% are located around the world because, as we know, it's a global industry.
Okay, so you basically you have 80% the local members and
Yes.
20% is international members.
Correct, correct. And our
Okay.
members are processing everything from steel, copper, aluminum, zinc, etc., so the ferrous and non-ferrous metals, but also paper, plastics, glass, rubber, and electronics.
So
as
you
well.
have all type of members there.
Yes. yes.
Okay, cool. Interesting. And I saw you change the name for the last, I think, 2-3 years already.
It's been about a year and a half.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think that's one of the point we need to discuss here is what's happening in the world. World is changing a lot. And you decide first to move and change you call nomenclature or the communication
Correct.
words.
Correct.
Why you guys decide to change all the words and the communication?
Well, we came out with our what we call our language lexicon in 2022. And the reason for it really started in 2018, 2019, when there were huge shifts going on in the marketplace and in the global industry. And we were having more and more challenges breaking through, telling our story and talking about the industry. And we realized that part of it was we were talking to ourselves. We were using language and lingo that meant a lot to us in the industry, but it wasn't breaking through. We weren't talking in a language that resonated with the general public, with policymakers. So we actually hired a language expert to
Well,
help
I
us
saw
figure this
that.
out. And we worked with him for about a year, year and a half. He really scoured the internet, scoured social media, talked with policymakers inside Washington, outside Washington. This was very US focused, figuring out, okay, what are the words that resonate? And we love scrap. We think scrap is beautiful. But scrap to many
Everybody
people,
loves a scrap word, but you
yes,
know, for the communication, the word it's complicated.
exactly. It implies waste to most people, secondary
Yes.
materials. And obviously, we're not handling waste, we're handling high quality product. And so, after all this research, we realized that we had to talk in plain, simple terms that resonated with people. So, to talk about the end product, where our materials are used, that these are recycled materials used in the manufacturing supply chain. And that's where we had to focus our discussion. So,
Okay.
while we love to talk about Zorba and turnings and all those materials, that doesn't mean anything to most people. And so we had to talk in the language that meant something to the general public. And that's why we started talking about recycled materials, manufacturing supply chain, high quality, talking about where the material is used, talk about how the materials that our industry produces are used in everything from the cars you drive, the roads you drive over, the bridges you drive over, the boxes that, at least in my house, are delivered every day from Amazon, your pizza boxes, all made out of recycled materials.
That's great. Do you think one of the reasons is because was hard to communicate with the government for they understand how big the industry, what exactly we are doing, and also the population. Sometimes they mix and like to say, "Oh, what are you guys doing with the waste of the house? What are you doing with the food and all things?" And that's why you changing, yeah.
Absolutely. That's really what triggered it. Because if you remember back in 2018, 2017, 18, 19 is when China came out with Green Sword and Green Fence. And there was a very big shift in the recycling markets. And in particular, it hit the residential stream.
Okay.
And at least in the US, the residential stream is less than 10% of the volume of what's recycled in the US. But unfortunately, the impact that the changes in Chinese rules had on the residential stream were huge. And that's what everyone saw. Everyone saw that blue bin at the end of their driveway driving everything. And all of a sudden, recycling is broken. Well, no, it's not broken. You still have commercial, industrial operations doing very well. And residential did transform itself and it was doing better. But we couldn't get through the message unless we started talking about, again, the recycled materials, how they are actually used, because people didn't believe they were actually being used. They didn't know.
Do you have the same problem you have in Brazil? The population don't believe you make the correct destination because we
Yes.
have here a campaign for the people are segregate the materials, separate what's dry, what's the humidity, what is post consumption, and then what they are view. It's when they separate, but by the end of the city hall, they put all together and then throw away in the landfill. So, and that's just not sometimes not happen. Most of the point not happen. I know they have this problem. So, but they mix with our industry.
Exactly. And that is probably one of the largest challenges we have, which is getting people to understand that it's really happening. And so our campaign, our transformation really came in 3 phases. It was first the language lexicon, using the right language, which we found that as soon as we went into policymakers, we went to Congress and we had meetings with them, they got it. They understood when we were using that language versus when we were using our language from before. Second part of the campaign was changing our name because
so you make first a trial with
Correct.
the government,
Correct.
the communication, until you make the correct change.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we said, okay, it didn't make sense to call us the Institute of Scrap Recycling Industries, which was an artificial name. It was a result of the merger of 2 other associations 35 years earlier. And so we needed to get rid of Institute. We had to get rid of scrap and take on the term recycled materials. Excuse me.
No problem. Como é que tá o som aí? O pessoal tá ouvindo bem? Você tá ouvindo bem ela falar? Ah, não, então tá ótimo. Não, só fiquei preocupado que estivesse longe, o pessoal não poder ouvir direito.
So we became the Recycled Materials Association. We also had to have a byline, a tagline that explained who we were beyond, like what our benefits are to the environment and to the economy and to industry. So we said we're resilient, we're essential, and we're sustainable. And we found that when we go in and have conversations now, people are more ready to talk with us.
Okay.
But then the next phase is to really explain what this all means through visuals. So we have a brand campaign that we've actually used in social media. We really initially focused it in Washington, D.C., but with pictures of a car, for example, and said, did you know the majority of the materials used in your car are made of recycled materials? Showed a plane when you go into Reagan National Airport, picture of a plane showing that recycled materials are used in the plane you just arrived in. We have pictures of boxes, same thing, talking about the recovered fiber used in those boxes. So we're trying to go to the public now and explain how our materials are used and how vital they are.
Okay, no, very interesting. One of our project here and the objective is to start making this changing.
Great.
We have really, well, I brought this on the table and say, guys, we need to talk with the population and the government. So talking for the same people in the same industry, it's like we are talking for the people who know already what we are doing.
Exactly.
So I think the most difficult part is to get the people, the population understand the real people are not involved in the business.
Right.
You start realizing what we are doing, what is the
Right.
value of this work, you know, what is the value of the material, why we need to recycling, why we need to take care of this business, because instead of using a natural material, because this sources is finished. You know?
Correct. Well, and another important element of it is collaboration and consistency in language between groups as well, because I think, and we've talked about this on the international level using the platform of BIR, it's important that all of us use the same language, because otherwise we're creating more noise and we're canceling each other out. And so we're working very closely with consumer brands, with the steel mills, with the paper industry, the paper mills, and other stakeholders in the recycling chain and the manufacturing supply chain. So we all start using the same language so we can then leverage our voices better with government and with the general public.
Okay, no, very good. I think you guys did a very good job. You know,
we're very excited about it.
The launch was good. You know, it was very exciting. I got very, very exciting, very important moment there.
Right.
And I think it's correct. You know, we need to do that around the world, like you said. You know,
absolutely.
So we saw in the last 10 years a lot of changing in recycling.
Yes.
A lot of changing. And I'm personally start seeing a lot of problems coming, a lot of difficulty talking about recycling. Even we are more a better communication with the population. The governments are creating a lot of barriers, you know, a lot of difficult nomenclature. The Basel Convention are changing. Right. So how's REMA see that movement around the world happen?
Well, there's so many changes happening in the industry and in the geopolitical environment around us, certainly. In the industry, there's been an amazing evolution that's occurred. There's the technology that has entered the industry, even robotics, artificial intelligence, optical scanners. So much new technology is entered the industry that has allowed more innovation and allowed us to create higher yields, higher quality materials. Certainly that's happening. But there's also, there's shifting in the markets themselves because of this misunderstanding of what is waste and what is product. And so, and also with what's happening with regard to the electrification of the global economy has made a lot of the materials that we process on a day-to-day basis, copper, even lithium, but steel, that much more valuable. And so the governments are getting more involved and getting more protectionist, trying to keep the materials at home, which is affecting trade flows and our ability to move the markets or move in the markets, because as you know, it's a global industry. So there's so many shifts occurring and we have to be more and more agile.
These governments are, do you think they protection because to control the material, or they don't want to, because we know because the decarbonization is not exclusive,
right?
Because you can decarbonization any place in the world.
Correct.
Okay, so it's a matter of we used to say that the recycling, it's an economy issue.
Right.
If you don't have the economy value of this material, the material is not going to move and is not going to give the destination.
Right.
And I think that's one of the biggest strategy, or that's why the governments are trying to control.
I think it's a lot more complicated, and there's also variations from region to region and country to country in terms of what's causing it. I can speak from my perspective, and where I saw it start certainly was in China in 2017-18. And what was really driving that, as what I came to understand, was really a desire for self-sufficiency. China was so dependent on raw materials from around the world. And
that was a very interesting moment, because
yes.
when they try to close the door and depend on the material,
right.
I personally quite not understand what they're doing. So
well, they have a
why
more
they did that.
But they have a more long-term view. They're willing to sustain short-term hurt to get to the long-term, because short-term they were hurting their own manufacturing industry, absolutely, because they didn't have the internal generation of the recycled materials. And we had a lot of manufacturers from China saying, "What's going on? Help us." It's like, well, you've got to talk to your own government. We certainly tried to move the Chinese government, but that's awfully hard to do.
So what's happened is they generate recycling, but they are not taking care of the material internally.
Well,
and they import the finished product, let's say the finished recycling material. What's really happening?
Part of it was while they had an informal sector collecting recycled materials within China, they didn't even have municipal residential recycling programs. So they had to jumpstart those.
Really?
Yeah. I think the first one was in Shanghai only about 6 or 7 years ago, is my understanding. So they were so reliant on the imports. So that's what he was trying to do. So that's what's driving that region. Again, I can't speak for every region. In the U.S., it's a little bit more complicated. In the U.S., there's a number of different factors generating what we're seeing nowadays. There's certainly the concern about critical minerals, about the move to electrification and what that's going to mean. The good news is with a tremendous amount of investment in new facilities within the U.S. Arubis has a huge operation for copper recycling they've started. There's a number of aluminum smelters coming online. There's a number of mills that have come online. So again, a lot happening, but there's still a concern about that material. There's also concern that the reality is that there's people left behind with the globalization that's occurred. And there's a desire to bring manufacturing back home. Now, whether or not tariffs really do that is an open question, but I know that's part of what's the impetus, at least in the U.S. Again, I can't speak to other regions, but what we have going on, though, is a tremendous game of chess that's going on internationally, because the EU is considering protectionist measures. We met with our counterparts in Japan a couple of weeks ago. I know that there's been talk there, and everyone's looking to the other market. And depending upon if that market moves, maybe they'll move. So it's really causes chaos in the industry
right now, because like you said, everybody's watching what they're doing.
Right.
And they are moving sometimes just because someone did.
Exactly. It's reactionary.
It just reacts.
Right.
And that's hurt.
it hurts a lot.
I remember in 2018 when 17, 18, when China closed the door, they didn't close slowly or
Right.
or you know, it's just, they have some timing for the people. They just close the door and say, okay, guys, all the materials coming here. It's not my problem anymore. You take care, put another. So a lot of people hurt and a lot of trading disappear in the market.
It caused tremendous chaos, but it didn't just cause chaos for those of us in the industry. It also caused chaos in the neighboring countries, who all of a sudden you had Chinese moving into the neighboring countries. And we're still feeling the ramifications of that, because what happened is these other countries didn't have the infrastructure to handle the movement of the material. So they're trying to figure out how do they respond. So unfortunately, what some of them did, we talked about going to Jakarta. I was in Indonesia in a couple of months, I guess it was in fall of 2019, and they were dealing with all of a sudden this influx of material. And they just said, okay, we'll just take what the Chinese are doing because maybe that'll solve the problem. It's like, no, what the Chinese didn't work either. We need to look at the material and really figure out what's the smartest way to differentiate what is product your manufacturers need and what is the waste material no one wants to see move. China had a blanket, and that isn't the right way to do it. You need to take a smarter way of doing it. And we're still feeling the ramifications.
We had a problem in Indonesia as well in 2014. When that 70 containers from UK coming with a lot of contamination, we had I personally have 10 containers over there, and we need to move it out. But I imagine with all these cargoes moving to China in the same time, we need to spread in Asia, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Indonesia. It was crazy moment.
I was in Thailand in June and met with the U.S. government there, the U.S. Commercial Service, and also with representatives from the Thai government, because we were having problems and still are with the Thai government actually refusing shipments of high quality, good quality, non-ferrous recycled material coming into the country, and they're mixing it up with electronic waste. And that's controlled by the Basel Convention.
And the electronic waste, let's say in the Zorba, maybe you talk about Zorba, it's aluminum.
Which is but it's not electronic waste.
It's not electronic waste, and it's interesting because we have like 1% maximum with some motherboards, also that there is a value material, that's a red material value, and they consider as a full waste material contamination.
Exactly.
So how to succeed this meeting there? Was it okay? Was more or less?
I think it's common. We made progress.
Okay.
There's an understanding of the issue, but there's politics at play, and unfortunately, there's politics that are beyond us that we're still trying to sort out.
Okay. Yeah, it's unfortunately in the end, is the politics is how they're handling that. Clineu, quer fazer algum comentário? E nós falamos um pouco do problema no mundo, um problema de regulamentação que está acontecendo, principalmente na Ásia, quando a China fechou o mercado. Ela fez um pouquinho de explanação também sobre o REMA. Então, se você quiser fazer um comentário no Brasil, como que a gente está trabalhando com isso, sobre a regulamentação. Graças a Deus a gente não está tendo um grande impacto como está tendo na Ásia sobre identificação do material. E o próprio Inmetro fez algumas mudanças, né?
Sim, hoje nós só muda o endereço. Basicamente é isso.
Okay. Basically, what he's saying, we are worried as well for these words and how the government understand, and then we realize that the problems are the same around the world.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of changes coming, and for my personal concern, it's am I going to do some business or with the shipping lines or government? Oh, you guys are the waste. We don't do waste, man. Don't do waste. And I got serious with this because waste is a different thing.
Yes.
they don't know what we are doing, and that's why
Correct.
we need to communicate better and better with the population and the government.
And we need to all work together around the globe, which is
Yes.
why I'm so excited to be here with INESFA, because your voice is so critical. And it doesn't matter how small or large our organizations are within our own countries. Our power comes from our working together and bringing all of our voices together in the global marketplace, really, and with other governments. Because I can go into another government, and talk to them from the U.S. perspective, but to hear the perspectives from all of us together is important.
How you handling that? That's an interesting point. So you are talking with the Malaysian government through the embassy, U.S. embassy in Malaysia.
Correct.
Right. How we can do that in Brazil as well? How this process going through?
Well, you mean for Brazil to talk to Malaysia?
No. To U.S. talking with Brazilian government as well, like
Right.
your embassy.
We
But
use,
how
yes.
you start that? The Malaysia Association call you to come in and talk in the embassy, or how start this conversation?
The conversation starts often, to be honest, in Washington or in our offices and with our members who say, we're having a problem shipping. As you know, it's a global industry.
I got it.
And just for context, for the U.S. recycled materials industry is heavily dependent upon global market access. In any given year, about a third of what our members process within the U.S. ends up in the global market to 150 different countries around the world. So last year, for example, we shipped $27 billion worth of recycled materials around the world, and literally to countries around the world. And about $7 billion came back into the U.S., was imported into the U.S. So it's a $20 billion
So
net
you
export.
export 27 and import 7 billion.
Correct.
Okay.
And so therefore, making sure that that market access flows and it is available to us is critical. So when we start hearing about problems in markets, we contact our U.S. Department of State, U.S. Trade Representative's Office, and U.S. Commercial Service. And they'll put us in contact with the embassy representatives from Commerce and State in those countries. And so that will help. But we also talk with our counterparts. So, for example, if we were having a problem shipping here in Brazil, I would call both of you and say, okay, who do we talk to?
All right.
And perhaps we go in together to that government authority. When we were having issues with China, we went in together to the Beijing government. When we're having issues in India, we work very closely with MRAI, the Material Recycling Association of India, and have had meetings with their Bureau of India Standards about specifications issues. I've met with their environmental department. I've met with their trade, the DGFT, often in coordination with MRAI and the U.S. Commercial Service, because that strengthens our message working together.
No, very good you brought this point, and the reason I'm talking is because, look, guys, it's interesting. You members, you are the voice. So
Absolutely.
You need to call us and see, look, I'm facing these problems. How do I solve it? I face this type of problems or this type of communication or any kind of problems. So basically, the members are calling you and say, look, I have this issue, how we can solve it.
Correct. And so, I mean, that's the role of an association, is
Yes.
to advocate for its members. That's right there in our mission statement. We have 3 core missions. Well, the core mission is promoting safe, economically sustainable, environmentally responsible recycled materials industry, but doing that through advocacy, education, and networking. And the advocacy is dependent upon the voice of our members, for our members talking to us, telling us what their issues are, so that we could smartly advocate on their behalf, whether it's on the federal level, the state level in the U.S., or international.
Very good, very good. And do you guys complain, your members complain about the shipping lines or not yet?
Yes. They complain about the shipping lines, complain about the rail lines,
but
the trucking.
The shipping lines, the main problem I saw nowadays, look, it's a service. So
Yes.
they have their pricing.
Right.
We like it or not, they provide the service. I'm not, that's not my main problem nowadays.
Right.
It's because it's economy. You have more movement, they're going to increase the price. They don't have a cargo, they're going to reduce the price.
Right.
So, but what coming difficult now is the regulations.
Right.
Okay, misunderstand the communication.
Correct.
So basically, they say, "All right, the Basel Convention are changing now. You need to give me this information because basic on the waste and scrap material." I say, "Okay, guys. Again, I'm not export wasting, so I need to provide a lot of information for them to get in the books." And kind of information is like, okay, if I'm selling for a trader, how
Right.
I'm gonna get the name of the end buyer?
Right.
They are not going to give to me because it's their business. So
Right.
how we are facing these problems, how we are solving these issues?
Well, I think that there's a couple of ways that we have to go about it. And this is where, again, we have to work together because the shipping lines are servicing the industry around the world. And so we need to speak with that one voice, one language, one set of specifications. But also what we need to do is help educate them. And so one of the things we were doing actually before COVID that we're trying to get started again was working with customs agents in other countries.
Okay.
To help them understand what does a load of recycled material look like and what are you looking for in that load to understand that that is not waste. Because let's face it, okay, for the uneducated eye, when they're looking at our material, I don't agree with it, obviously, but I can see why they're confused.
Okay.
And so what we have to do is help educate them. This is what Zorba looks like. This is what turnings looks like. This is what, a mixed paper looks like.
You already did that or not?
We did. We did it with, and I apologize, I'm blanking out on which country it was. It may have been in Malaysia. We worked with customs agents and did some training virtually. We need to build on it.
I have an idea. I think, as I mentioned to you before, I brought that in the last meeting of BIR, and I think we need to go with BIR for the headquarters. We have basically only 3 shipping lines nowadays.
Right.
We have MSC, we have CMA, and we have Maersk.
Right.
We have the other small ones, but when these 3 big guys are understanding what we are doing, because all the regulations and the request information is coming from the headquarters.
Right.
Okay, and the headquarters is in Europe. So one in French, I think one it's Antwerp or something. We can find out, but I think we can need to talk all this on BIR and on BIR had go there and fight for us.
And BIR is a wonderful platform for doing that. And they've got that World Council of Recycling Associations now that has been working well to get us talking to each other. And so I think the next logical step is to use it for these conversations. Absolutely.
Just for you guys know, INESFA is a member of the World Council Recycle Association. We have a table there. We have a desk, or how do you want to call it?
And a strong voice.
Strong voice, and represent you guys. Okay, so that's not only for a closed club. It's an open club, and we are there for you.
I think there's more than 30 or more associations globally.
I think it's 30.
Maybe 40. I don't remember the number.
It's very good. Yeah. But we should do that, especially on the shipping lines.
Next
week we have a meeting, and Suzy, let's talk about this. Good and funny.
Right.
Clineu, a gente está falando sobre a regulamentação lá do mundo, né? Das mudanças, e uma coisa que ela falou que é bastante interessante, eles advogam pela necessidade e a demanda dos associados, né? Então, assim, os associados têm que entender que vocês têm que vir falar com a gente. Olha, estou com esse problema, como que resolvo? Estou com esse problema na exportação, estou com problema de container, estou com problema de interpretação, seja lá o que for, para que a gente possa trabalhar em conjunto, né, Clineu?
Perfeito, Roger. O que precisa são os associados estarem cada vez mais presentes, né, numa instituição, enxergar a instituição como um investimento e não como uma despesa, né?
Muito bom. Ponto interessante. O Clineu mentioned about to be a member of the Recycling Association. It is not expensive. It's an investment.
Absolutely.
So tell me about your members, how they reacting, how they activate these. Because we have this sometimes distance between the members. Sometimes they come in closer, sometimes they go away, and how you have a commercial department is
a membership department, absolutely, because we don't want to just take people's money. That's not the role of the association. It's to work for our members, to be there, to provide customer service, to provide whatever the needs are, to help our members be more successful. And to do that, we need to continually engage with members and understand what their concerns are, but also provide services. And one positive of the last couple of years is we're even better connected. We've used that virtual network through Zoom. So all of our members who are not based in the U.S., we can still communicate with, and we have regular webinars on market issues, trade issues. We now have a monthly trade and tariff talk where we're trying to give the latest update. It was weekly for a while there, but now we've moved to monthly, and we're sharing information on a regular basis and answering the specific questions members have about the trade. But we're also providing environmental compliance support. We're providing operational support. So a range of services to help our members operate in the most economically responsible and safe manner. And we also had the wonderful opportunity to come to our convention. So REMA has its annual convention, which you've both been part of, and we love seeing you there every year. The REMA convention is going to be in Las Vegas in April, and we invite all of your listeners to attend, and it's very affordable. As a matter of fact, we have a discount that we just shared.
I received your code. We're going to start promoting. Good. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, we'd love to see all of you there.
And normal, we're going between 40 and 50 members.
I know, we love that.
It's very good mission. Se você não foi ainda no REMA, que é o antigo ISRI, na convenção do REMA, venha fazer parte. Nós vamos divulgar um código para vocês para participar e para você ter um desconto na inscrição. As inscrições já estão. It's open already, yeah?
Yes, it opened up, and we're expecting up to 7,000 people from all over the world.
7,000 people.
Yes.
Huge, huh, Clineu?
And what's wonderful, I mean, I love the convention. Obviously, I've been there many times.
I think it's a more exciting moment of the year.
It's very exciting, and it's also because it also is the largest trade show floor for the recycled materials industry anywhere in the world.
In the world.
So you've got 500,000 square feet of equipment manufacturers from around the world that are coming together and showing off the latest innovations in equipment, the latest technology, processes, etc. And so you can walk the floor and talk directly to the manufacturers, and they can demonstrate the equipment. So in addition to all of the educational workshops we have and the networking events, that's a great place to do business, to meet develop new relationships, and see the latest in equipment and learn the latest innovations in the industry.
Oh, very good. Pessoal, é a maior feira de negócios no setor de reciclagem do mundo. Então, será no dia 16 to...
The 19th?
16 to 19, I think.
Yes,
de 16 a 19 de abril, né, naquela semana de abril. Você que ainda não participou, você que é membro do INESFA, que ainda não foi, vamos participar dessa feira. Nós temos um cupom de desconto para participação. Todo ano a gente vai com mais ou menos 40, 50 pessoas que participam. Então, para quem não foi ainda, venha fazer parte dessa missão, que é uma missão bastante interessante. Tem muita coisa educacional, muita palestra, equipamentos novos, tudo que é de tecnologia nova. Todos os stands estão lá para demonstração de equipamento. Então, para você que não foi, vamos lá. Ano que vem, se eu não me engano, 16 a 19, mas a gente vai promover aí direitinho para vocês.
We're also shifting some of the programming. That'll be different than the past. Well, first of all, if anyone wants to know information about it, the website.
So it's going to change a couple of things.
Right.
Okay.
REMA2026.org is the website.
Okay.
But one of the things we're changing is, we always provide market insights. So we have analysts from around the world talking about what's happening with the markets for the different commodities.
Okay.
One of the things we're doing is we're having specific spotlights this coming year on the manufacturing supply chain, bringing in some of the manufacturers from automotive, from electronics, from packaging, to talk about what's changing, because we talked a couple of minutes ago about the shifts that are occurring in the markets. One of the shifts is the material we're getting is changing.
Yes.
That there's new materials coming in, but also their composition is changing. How the equipment is put together is changing, and so we really need to understand that better so we know what's going to hit our operations in the future. You
used to have the ISRI code updating.
Yes.
So now it's going to be REMA code. How are we going to call and when is coming the new updating? Como ela falou, pessoal, o material está mudando muito, né? Então, de nomenclatura. Então, eles têm um código que é utilizado mundialmente, inclusive, com o nome deles, para você fazer toda a comercialização de material, e esse código vai mudando a cada X meses, ou a cada X anos. Então, when are you going to update the new one?
We are updating it regularly, but in terms of the name change, well, we've changed everything we have from ISRI to REMA. We couldn't do that with the specs yet. Because the specs, which are called the ISRI specs, right now are embedded in customs regulations in India, Australia, and other parts of the world. And if we change the name, we were afraid of a disconnect.
Okay.
So we're calling them the REMA ISRI specs.
Okay.
Until we can get them changed in the other governments.
Okay, cool. Well, if you need any help or information from Brazil, let us know. It will be a pleasure to help and provide any kind of information.
Well, I'll tell you one of the things we do need, which is what makes the specifications so valuable. And they've been in place for 100 years, but they're constantly changing based on the changing needs of the market. So to the extent that there are changing needs happening here, that you're seeing shifts in the market that require creation of new specs or modifications of the old ones, let us know. For example, we just created a new spec, Vesper, to help us with some new innovation that's happening on the aluminum side of the industry. So we're always looking for changes that are needed.
Okay, let's work together on this.
Absolutely.
For sure, we translate all your communications already.
Thank you.
So we just waiting for. We like to put out a file with your logo as well. You know, like you're the captain of the changing.
Right.
So we hope you help us to give the open file for it setup.
We will do that, I promise.
And promote the numbers, correct, Clineu? Vamos promover essa mudança aí de nomes. E eu pedi para ela o arquivo aberto para a gente poder promover, inclusive, com o nome do REMA e uma cooperação.
Yes.
We will do that.
De acordo, Rogério, é isso aí mesmo. Temos que trabalhar juntos, né?
Isso aí. Ok. So let's work on this.
Okay,
and
great.
Again, pessoal, ano que vem, REMA, abril. Okay? Let's talk one important point here we didn't mention too. It's the tariff from the Trump administration. How that hit you guys, because that's supposed to protect the market, but as you are largest trade in the world and coming in and out material, probably you got hit as I got already. So my material cannot ship to US.
It's been a very difficult time.
Okay.
We certainly support REMA, and the industry supports one of the underlying goals of what the president is trying to do, which is trying to support and strengthen domestic manufacturing.
Okay.
Certainly, we're dependent on that domestic supply chain. We're just dependent upon, and we want to see grow the manufacturing base of the U.S. The challenge is the uncertainty that all of this has created, because the tariff rates continually change. And so, as you know, material doesn't just go on a plane and an hour later land somewhere. There's long lead times, there's shipping times, etc. And so it makes it really hard to plan. We need market certainty. And so that's one of the issues we've talked with the government about. We're also very concerned about the retaliation that occurs.
Okay.
So we've been very concerned on both the import side and the export side. On the export side, we've had some successes over the last couple of months, which I'm thrilled about.
But on the export side, you have some impact or just
Absolutely.
Import?
No, it impacts the export side in two ways. First of all, as part of the 232 investigations that have been launched, and the one that was launched on copper in particular, that was launched by the administration, I think in March of this year, embedded in that was a proposal for the first time ever for export controls on recycled copper.
So they control the export copper.
Right.
Okay.
So we pushed back very hard, and I'm thrilled to say that in, I think it was in July, the end of July of this summer, the Trump administration rejected that initial recommendation, and also rejected a proposal that came out of the Department of Commerce for licensing on recycled copper. So we have been successful, but we are still hearing noise about aluminum, that there's the aluminum industry in the U.S. is pushing for export restrictions on
the aluminum side as well,
especially on UBCs.
Okay.
And so we're working very hard to push back on that. So they're using the import tariffs to build on those to create export restrictions. And so we're pushing really hard back on that. And again, so far we've been successful, but politics plays a really big role here, and we've got to be very careful.
We have the same problem.
You do?
Yeah, same problem. Even though we don't have the tariff, like the tariff program,
right?
They try to ban it in the import material.
Right.
And then now they start talking about, okay, well, if you cannot import, you cannot export.
Right.
But we're still working on this.
Well, there's also distortions in the market. The import tariffs cause a lot of distortions in terms of what's coming into the U.S., and that affects the recycled material supply.
Please.
Excuse me. flew in this morning, and I think I still.
Yeah, I know. Take your time. We have time.
Anyway, but it's
important issue.
The other way it impacts us is retaliation, because what other governments will do in retaliation for the imposition of the import tariffs will put restrictions on what they'll take into their countries, and that can hit us harder as well. So we're very concerned
even
about
if it's not reasonable, if don't make any sense, they're gonna create that just because
exactly
you did that, I do that.
Right. And it's causing a disruption, not just in our industry, but it's causing disruption for the whole manufacturing economy within the U.S. because manufacturers need time to make investments. And the Trump administration is a 4-year term. And some investments take longer than 3 years to make, 3 or 4 years.
Guarantee when they change administration and say, okay, everything he did, there is no value anymore. Let's start again.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the U.S.
Very complicated.
Very complicated.
Especially on the big industry or the big players, big investments.
Correct.
So they try to control the export, especially on aluminum and the copper.
Correct.
What's happening e-material? No, I'm gonna say e-waste. I'm gonna say e-material,
end-of-life electronics,
and life electronics.
Right.
Any impact on these as well, or only when on the final destination, the buyers creating problems like Malaysia?
We have the Basel Convention controls, and as I mentioned earlier, there's confusion between the non-ferrous and the electronics, and so we're dealing with that. There has been a bill introduced in Congress for I think more than 10 years now. Every year it gets introduced to control the movement of electronics, end-of-life electronics out of the U.S. We've been very successful in stopping it, so it hasn't yet gotten much momentum, and we're pretty confident that we'll still be able to prevent that from moving forward.
Okay. And what about the importation? What is the impact of your clients? The import side, I think.
The imports for electronics or other materials?
All type of materials to import.
Well, again, it's causing chaos throughout manufacturing. And so we're seeing, certainly there's been, one of the issues, for example, is there's a arbitrage between aluminum, primary aluminum, and secondary aluminum or recycled aluminum. So recycled aluminum, for example, coming out of the EU is tariffed at 15%, I believe, but it's a higher tariff for primary. So that's creating a surge of recycled aluminum coming into the U.S. So again, it's distorting the market, having huge issues.
The reflex of the pricing, internal pricing, went up or still stable? What's the reflex on this?
There's definitely been a lot of volatility on pricing.
Yeah, okay. Probably this impact is very high.
Yes.
Yeah, it's complicated, especially for you to do business because U.S. market used to be very stable and the variation international is very low.
Correct.
What we don't have here in Brazil, the impact is very high between January and the next December are very varied. The variation is coming like can be $100. Very easy.
Well, the other problem we're having is because of this uncertainty and because of what's happening with tariffs, manufacturing is slowing a bit in the U.S. despite some investments that are being done. And as you know, we're demand oriented.
That was not his idea.
No. And so we're a demand-driven industry. So as demand slows down, what happens? Supply slows down, prices go down. So we're seeing a huge impact, especially on recovered fiber. So that's becoming a bit more depressed in the U.S. and also seeing that on the plastic side.
Okay, yeah. Well, we got the impact here as well on export. Basically, what we did, the market is changing mostly for Asia. The people from pig iron are not suffering because it's a strategy material for him. So the most exported pig iron was to US. And our concern, especially on the ferro side, is the pig iron got the tariff. If the pig iron got the tariff, the price here, the industry here is going to suffer a lot, especially the recycling industry. Pricing should be dropped.
Right. And part of it is it's not always clear what is subject to the tariffs and what isn't. The whole exclusion and inclusion process that we're going through in the U.S. is also causing a lot of confusion. And I know that this has been an issue in particular for fiber. There's a lot of eucalyptus pulp that's moving into the U.S.
Okay.
And we understand that may have been excluded from the tariffs, but it's not clear why. And so that's flooding the market and causing disruption for the recovered fiber side of the industry. So again, there isn't always logic for where the tariffs are being applied and where they're not.
Yeah, we suffered this a lot, and it was not
Right.
clear, and
Right.
we do not understand what is the principal reason. I think you guys in the
wish I
same
could tell you
situation,
we
but
do, because at various times
they try to create jobs. That's what he's saying.
Well,
but that's true.
he's saying a lot of different things. We're
Okay.
hearing that it's to restart manufacturing in the U.S. We're hearing at times it's jobs. We're hearing at other times that it's to generate revenue, and it has generated a lot of revenue. And sometimes we're hearing it's retaliation because there are some countries that have very high tariffs and have for years. And so this is just to equalize the markets. So there have been a lot of rationales, and depending upon the rationale, you approach the situation differently. But when all the rationales are thrown at you, it's hard to organize
So what
your
you say
arguments.
when you go there, they give a lot of excuses, but they don't know the principal reason.
I can't say.
Oh my God, it's complicated.
It's politics are very complicated.
Ô, Clineu, a gente estava falando um pouquinho das tarifas e ela falou que a desculpa mesmo tem variado muito, né, entre os tipos de razões com que o governo tomou essa atitude. Mas é interessante que quando começou as tarifas, principalmente para importação de cobre e alumínio, o que aconteceu? Eles começaram a dificultar a exportação, que é uma consequência natural, né? Você proíbe ou você tarifa. A palavra proibir é uma oposição à tarifa, né? Então, você não quer dizer que proíbe, você põe uma tarifa para aumentar a tarifa de importação. E aí, o mercado interno se movimenta, e aí a própria indústria não quer deixar o material sair no comércio, na liberação do comércio.
Perfeito. Você vê que isso é uma atitude mais ou menos parecida com o que acontece em outros países, né? Aqui no Brasil, aí, a gente ainda consegue manter um mercado aberto. E nós estamos sendo um dos poucos países que conseguem isso, né, Roger?
Verdade. We're in let's say, the last country is still open market for all kind of material, and that's something concerns us, especially as in the INESFA. We are trying to be alert, or keep that open, or at least, if not full open, part of open.
Well, and it's not just the recycled materials themselves that the tariff policies are causing some chaos with. It's also the equipment that we rely upon for our processes. One of the most recent proposals out of the administration, of the White House, has been to look at putting tariffs on the equipment, the industrial equipment that's used by our industry and other parts of the manufacturing economy, as well as robotics that are used in the industry. And we're very concerned about that. And you're going to be talking to John Sacco tomorrow from Sierra.
Okay, yeah.
And we just had our board meeting 2 weeks ago. And this was a major topic of conversation. And we just submitted extensive comments to the White House on Friday, actually last Friday, on this issue, because a lot of the specialized equipment we need in the industry comes out of Europe, for example. And the costs of that equipment are going to go up significantly, which is going to hamper the ability for the recycled materials industry to operate in the U.S. So again, we're concerned about the materials that we process and its movement around the world, but we're also concerned about the equipment itself.
But you have this, for export, you don't have any issue. It's just for import material, right?
Actually, an interesting question. It's mostly an
because
import
most
issue.
of the company made abroad.
Right.
They don't make in the U.S. They just assembling there.
Correct. And also the parts are also coming in from other countries.
Spare part coming from outside.
So it's most of it is an import issue, but I don't want to say that we're not exporting any because, and I should know this, but there may be some that's being exported.
Okay. Yeah, let's, tomorrow I would ask John.
Yes.
About this.
He'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, I know. Yes. You talk about the equipment.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll talk to him because, but it's interesting how impact around the world. It's funny because long time ago, all the directions of productions, it's to subcontract.
Right.
So you have third-party productions in Asia, in Europe, in India, in Malaysia. So now he tried to borrow everything inside again. Right. So without technology and without timing, that's the main problem.
If you look at just the North American market, for example, because this is causing, as you can imagine, extreme disruption between Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. because NAFTA which was renegotiated by Trump in his first term for a new agreement, helped create that global, or not global, but that interconnected market, an open market between Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. And now with the tariffs and the initial tariffs schemes that he put in place at the beginning of the year affected movement of materials between our three countries. If you look at a single part, Wall Street Journal had a very interesting analysis of this, a transmission that has to go into a vehicle. Vehicle may have been assembled in the U.S., but that transmission moves 7 or maybe 9 times across the Mexican, U.S., and Canadian border, back and forth.
9 times?
9 times before it's put into that automobile. And some of it is actually pulling the recycled aluminum out of in Canada, and then moved, or actually out of the U.S., moved into Canada for smelting. And so it just keeps on going back and forth. So each of those movements, though, causes and triggers a tariff requirement. And so there's been huge issues with the intermovement and the integration of our economy.
You move transmission 9 times. So right. Every time it's coming in and out, there's a tariff.
Right. Now there have been, because of these issues.
What's going to happen on the pricing of the final products in U.S.?
Right.
It's already impacted on the pricing?
And yes. And now there have been some exemptions made, some exclusions, but it's still a moving target as part of the problem. And that's where the uncertainty comes in. Until this all settles out, people are afraid. They don't know where to invest.
My goodness, that's very interesting. Eu acho que o Clineu caiu, né? Você mandou um cliente novo? Eu vou colocar aqui para ele. Peraí, vou mandar. Não, geralmente demora pouquinho. Yeah, because the link is dropping, so I need to resend him again. Cara, eu não tô achando aqui o seu link, velho. Deixa eu ver aqui, peraí. Me aí de novo pra eu mandar. Novo. E aqui tá o Gustavo. Okay, I'm sending to him. Vamos falar do nosso patrocinador, HB Garras. Vamos passar um videozinho da HB Garras enquanto o Clineu volta. I'm gonna show the video for one of our members here in the supplier called HB Garras.
Okay.
Pessoal, não tá pegando nada no seu pátio? Cola na HB Garras que você vai começar a pegar, papai. Vamos lá, Rogério, obrigado aí pelo apoio, obrigado por tudo e conte com a gente sempre. HB Garras, nosso parceiro aqui comercial. Robin, I think what do you think we can expect for the future is coming? I know it's a very tricky and complicated issue or question.
Good question. Huh?
You know, good question. I used to go on REMA's and BIR's convention. It's funny because I always see the projections for 5 years, 10 years. And nowadays we can talk about 2 weeks.
I wish I had a crystal ball. It's hard to know. But I mean, I think what we do know is that the recycled materials industry is going to continue to grow because our materials are needed. They're an essential part of both our domestic and global manufacturing supply chain. Mm-hmm. Yes, we're going to continue to have these hurdles. But the simple fact is that manufactured goods can't be made without our materials.
That's correct.
So our industry will continue to grow. It's going to continue to evolve. We're going to continue to innovate and create even more high quality materials. Where those markets are going to be, how they're going to shift, I don't think anyone knows because of what's happening with the tariffs. But there certainly is still a very bright future for the industry.
Yeah, I agree with you. The future is going to be big. You know, it's increasing day by day. That's true. But with all these regulations and all these complications, it's going to be tough. you know, and it's going to be very challenging for the new generation, and this generation are handling the lander and the new yard, especially for the new guys are don't know too much about the market. It's complicated. Né, Clineu? O que a gente estava falando aqui que tá um futuro incerto, né? E vai ser um desafio para essa nova geração. Né?
Sim, mas nós temos que ver também que o mundo é cíclico e agora o mundo está de ponta cabeça, está numa instabilidade, mas daqui a pouco as coisas se acalmam e ele vai entrar num momento de crescimento. E a importância da reciclagem, ela é única, né? Para ajudar no combate ao clima, ao carbono e outras coisas mais. Então eu vejo que lá na frente, depois que passar essa tempestade, nós teremos bons tempos.
Okay, basically what he's saying, the world is cyclical, no? And we are in the storm here.
Yes.
But I think in the future, after the storm, everything's going to be okay. We have some adjustments.
I hope you're right. No, I agree. I agree. And I think our success, though, is going to be dependent upon us all continuing to have these dialogues. Because even as our governments may be looking more and more inward, we have to continue to look outward. And we have to continue to have these conversations to figure out ways to work together, to use the same language, to leverage our voices, because that's the only way we're going to succeed in the future.
Okay, I have an important question. How you advocate in Washington? You have a team. How is the work there? So you have a team working fully in time there. They go weekly to talk with the Congress people, to the regulation departments. How is the job?
Well, I'm really fortunate because we've got a great team in Washington on staff. We have a strong team with expertise on all the issues that affect the industry, on trade, transportation, environment, tax, etc., and with connections and access. And that's so critical. We need to have continued development of relationships with people who work at the Department of Labor, at the US EPA, at the Department of Transportation, the Surface Transportation Board, and in Congress. And because administrations come and go, we need to have those long-term relationships with the career people as well as with those of the newly elected.
We used to say this work never stops.
It never stops. You're absolutely right.
There is no end.
Right.
It's day by day work,
right.
Week by week, month by month, year by year. A new administration, you need to keep there talking.
Right. So we're talking on a regular basis. I can't say it's weekly. It could be daily. It could be hourly. It depends upon, again, the issues, the movement, and as people roll over and change. But those relationships are key. And education. We got to keep on going into these offices and educating them so they understand the industry. Not just for when there's an immediate issue, so that when an issue emerges, they know to call us. That's equally important.
Não, that's great. Pessoal, vocês viram? Olha só, a importância do trabalho de ter essa comunicação com o governo constantemente. Muitas vezes a gente faz esse trabalho porque eu faço parte do trabalho junto com o Clineu, o Rafael e toda a equipe, e parece que a gente não está andando, mas não é verdade, né? A palavra do Instituto constantemente com o governo, todas as semanas, é importante, porque quando eles vão tomar as decisões, hoje, muitas das vezes, o pessoal liga para nós para consultar, para nos comunicar o que eles estão pensando, o que nós achamos, para nós darmos opiniões. Né, Clineu? Isso é um trabalho constante que a gente vem fazendo em Brasília, e é importante. A Robin falou uma coisa que a gente vem defendendo aí constantemente no governo e no INESFA. Estarmos sempre falando com o governo.
Yes, exactly what you are doing. Perfeito. Nós temos exatamente o que nós estamos fazendo, Roger. É o tempo inteiro o contato. Você mesmo falava no passado que se você não for até Brasília levar seus problemas, eles não vão adivinhar quais são os nossos problemas. E aí a gente passou a adiantar aos problemas. Começamos a trabalhar lá na frente. Isso deu resultado.
We work on the advocacy here for strongly, let's say, for the last 3-4 years.
Okay.
Before that, we was not strong enough. And I used to say for the guys, I say, look, if you are not going to the government, talk with them and not explain your problems,
Right.
Nobody gonna call you here.
Exactly.
Nobody gonna say, okay, I'm gonna do this. Let's see who can call you if you
Right.
affect someone. No,
Right.
It's important. You know, it's
Absolutely.
day by day, week by week, month by month, be there.
They have to know you're there.
Otherwise, they used to say, if you're not a dinner, you're in the menu. So it's better you be in the table and talking instead of being in the menu.
Right. That's exactly. We used to have our chief lobbyist, Mark Ryder, was with us for many years. Worked together with him for 25 years. And he used to use
25 years already making lobby in the U.S.
Oh, yes. More than that. And he used to say the exact same thing, which is that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Yeah, that's interesting. Ok, I think we are okay here em Clineu. Tem alguma coisa que você quer perguntar? O pessoal aqui fez alguma pergunta. Eu vi que tem uma pergunta aqui. You have a lot of knowing of scrap.
Recycled materials.
The recycled material, yeah.
Yeah.
Scrap and he got me. She got me here. The guy say if about the taxation of the scrap in US. Probably it's just the VI. I don't know if you have VIT on.
We don't have that
the
in the US.
Material when you sell.
We don't.
You just have a company tax.
Exactly.
At the end of the profit.
Corporate taxes. Yeah.
Okay, so because we are launching here a new taxation, right. And we have a very interesting project here is for creating credits when right. you use the recycling and not have any VIT or any tax impact.
We have something sort of similar. We have something called a manufacturer's sales tax exemption. So at least for equipment,
okay.
If the equipment is bought for the recycling industry, it's state by state. There are some sales tax exemptions.
Oh, but the exemption is 100% or it's...
It varies by state.
Ok. Você entendeu, Clineu? Se eles têm um benefício para a indústria, na hora que eles vendem um equipamento, se for para a reciclagem, a isenção do imposto.
Eu lembro que o Brian comentou isso de uma máquina que ele comprou, ele ganhou uma isenção, lembra?
Verdade. Okay, I think we are done here for of course, there is a lot of things we can talk.
Right.
Pessoal, obrigado. Então aí, acho que nós vamos encerrando. Robin, thank you for being part of this podcast and for INESFA.
Thank you.
It was always a pleasure to have you guys here. I hope we can build a beautiful future working together.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful for your voice. You guys have done a wonderful job in a very short time, and I'm excited to be here, and I thank you for the invitation.
Okay, thank you. Clineu, suas considerações finais.
Robin, thank you so much. I appreciate and see you later, okay?
See you later.
Ok, pessoal. Obrigado aí mais uma vez pela participação. Nosso episódio vai ficar gravado online para aqueles que não puderam participar e assistir. 21, 22 e 23 nós vamos estar lá no centro, Expo Center Norte, né, Clineu? Expo Center, sabe o pavilhão?
Pavilhão, a cor eu não lembro, mas é Expo Center Norte.
Ela no pavilhão principal, então vamos estar lá nos 3 dias na EcoExpo. Se você não fez sua inscrição ainda, ecoexpo.com.br, venha fazer parte desse evento, que é o maior da América Latina no momento. Jesus, parabéns, nos vemos hoje à noite. E, pessoal, fica aí o meu abraço e aguardem os nossos próprios episódios, ok? Um abraço.
Bye, bye.